Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Our next guest has ambitions to play football for Jamaica at the highest level. 17-year-old Jonathan Smith was born on the island but moved to Canada after completing grade 7 at Jamaica College back in 2017. His development as a young player has been largely facilitated by his involvement with Canadian soccer clubs BCN Academy and Brest Academy. Though Jamaica has produced many top talents via the ISA schoolboy football program, many of these players have struggled to transition into the national program or into club football. Smith's exposure in Canada has subsequently exposed him to many other opportunities to further his development in the sport. Opportunities perhaps he would not have attained if he had stayed on the island. Jonathan joins us now in studio along with his mother, Kandi-Lee Smith. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Donald.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Well.
All right. Let's get a little background here, right? Because you're well known in Jamaica, Kandi. LASCA Teacher of the Year Principal of the Year.
Yes.
So you're well known in the educational sector, but you left Jamaica 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Just some of the background as to why you guys decided to leave as a family.
Well, my husband actually pushed me to say, you know what, you needed to go back to school, higher education, read for your master's degree. And so I decided to go to my alma mater, which was Mount St. Vincent University, right? That's in Halifax. So we decided, okay, let's do that. The time was right. And so we made that move, right? But while there, just as I completed my degree, then we actually heard about COVID. It had not yet hit Canada, but I heard the rumblings, and then it was just a domino effect because jobs were being lost, and my family got affected, basically, long and short, and I had to make some personal decisions for the sake of our family. And it was not just about the immediate family, but the extended family as well, in terms of their well-being and their care and so on. And so we realized that we weren't even able to come back. There were no flights. Everything was locked down. And then we just had to make a decision to say, you know what, family first.
What was that transition like? And of course, Jonathan would have fallen in love with football at the time. Talk to me about that family transition and how you were able to work through that.
Well, he always had an affinity for sports, right? He's very athletic. I remember in his days at Almontown Primary as a student, he was involved in every sport. As a sport came up, Jonathan was on the list, right? So he played multiple sports. He was playing sports from prep school days because he started out at St. Teresa Prep. When we made that transition, brand new, we don't know anything. He was actually placed back into grade 7 when we landed in Canada at the time. But I think, you know what, I always say all things work together for good because we love God. And that putting back made a difference because the right person got to see him. And it was his school coach, I think, during a gym session, saw this child and was saying, no, man, this is extraordinary. This is not a normal person. He needs to be seen and he should be playing for a club. Right? I mean, we were fresh. He started school, what?
It was on a Thursday.
We landed the Wednesday.
We started school on a Thursday. He hooked us up with the club and stuff on a Friday, roughly. And then we had the tryouts on Saturday.
Your side is interesting because when you speak about football, prodigies, we speak about youngsters who, keep the ball at an early age and, like we're talking about 3 or 4 year olds. You were firstly interested in sports like badminton.
Yep.
Then your father spoke to you and he said something hilarious.
Yes.
What did he say to you?
So we were having a conversation. I was leaving badminton practice and he said to me, do you know badminton players don't make that much money? And I sat there and I really thought about it. I was like, oh, he might be right. And then I was like, he said, name a millionaire badminton player. And I just couldn't answer the question. So I guess at that point for me, I had to switch gears and I had to reassess and reevaluate my options. And I was like, all right, I guess we're playing football now.
How did you come to that decision?
Footballers make a lot of money.
But, okay, so you're in Jamaica. You're at Jamaica College at the time.
Yep.
You would have been at the Pepsi tryouts, but you didn't represent Jamaica College, did you?
No. I didn't represent Jamaica College at the time. I was practicing with their team and stuff. And towards when we were going to leave, I think the start of the new semester, that's when they were starting to really like kick gear and start to move with the team that they wanted to have represent them. But by that time, I was already gone, so I never got to represent JC. But I did train with them, and I've seen all the players. I've seen players like Duncan. I don't know where he is now, but I'm sure
Duncan McKenzie, yes. He's actually in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
See? Players like Duncan McKenzie, I was classmates with him, played on the same team, played on the same field. So, I didn't get to represent, but I know the players and such.
Would you have wanted to play in the Manning Cup?
Maybe.
Okay.
If I was still here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that transition, though, when you went to Canada and the conversation that you would have had with your parents as to where do you go from here to develop your game?
When we transitioned over, I sort of focused in and I honed in on my skills technically. And then we got, helped with the club and stuff. And he basically just took me under his wing. He was like, this is what we need to do. We traveled, we trained a whole lot. Like, I used to train for about 2 hours, come back, train again with myself, like private sessions, for another hour and a half, gym the next day. Like, it was vigorous, and I feel like that's kind of where my headspace was after moving. I was in a grind mode, I had to get stuff done to make it.
And fast forward to now, Kandi, as to what is he on the verge of? What is he looking to do within the year?
Well, he has attained multiple titles with different clubs, both in Ontario. Initially we went to Ontario, and then a year ago we moved to BC. Because I got a job offer, which was another big transition for the entire family. He was just on the verge of competing for the Ontario Cup, and then we were gone again.
Football is a tease, apparently.
I know, right? Yeah. But landing in BC, he got to play with at least 2 clubs, I think it was.
Yep.
And now he's at this point where it's applications for university and all of that. So we've gone through that process, and he has about 2 offers that are standing right now. We recently accepted one offer.
And that's from where?
And that's from Richmond, the American University in London. And Richmond University, he's going to be doing the international sports management degree. Interestingly, they have the soccer academy, right? And your dad, I think it was, because his dad is like manager and everything for him, right? Dad submitted videos, highlight videos and stuff like that. And they watched the video at the club level, and they were so impressed. He got an offer right away.
Wow.
Now, this is outside of the university, but Risa is contracted by the university to deliver the sports management degree program. So he was already accepted into the soccer academy before we even applied to the university. But we said, we're Jamaicans, and when Jamaicans migrate, education comes first, right? And so, we said, we're grateful, but we'll wait for the university acceptance first, because I always say, Joe, if you break that foot, you need something to fall back on.
Right.
And so he did get the offer from the university. And so that's where we are now. We're poised for 2023 fall for him to move to England. And to start that that journey.
He's going to England by himself, by the way.
Donald, I'm crying already.
Wow.
But I'm sure Dad is going to be booking a flight, and probably will move with him at least for a week, to make sure he's settled and everything. Because, Dad has been a staple. O'Neill has been a staple for Jonathan through the entire journey of all the sports and all the training and the traveling and so on, right? When was it? In 2020, in the height of COVID, he was supposed to be going off to Spain to represent Canada. And, lockdowns happened. Tickets were bought. Everything was booked. He was going to the Mediterranean League, right? And so that didn't happen. But Dad was booked as well to travel with him, So that's where we are now, heading off to university, all being well. Yeah.
What does it mean to you, though, being through this process? I don't know, maybe representing Canada, but probably not. More like that. Oh, no. But what does it mean for you being a part of this program, being accepted to the university? Where do you see yourself after completing all this?
Right now, I see it as basically another stepping stone. The next, move towards me playing professionally. That's my goal. I want to play in the top leagues against the top players. That's now my dream, to compete at that level. So I just see this as, the next move on the chessboard, right? To finish this off, complete school. I'm completing school early. I finish in January, I think. So I finish high school early so that I can really spend the rest of the year, 2023, focusing on soccer, building connections, networking. So this move for me is now, as I said, chess. It's the next play. It's the next move.
Well, moving from Canada to England, you know how to say football as opposed to soccer, but I'm sure you'll be working on that in the next few months. But do you consider yourself to be fortunate, blessed, privileged to be in a position? Because, of course, a lot of kids in the Caribbean, Jamaica in particular, they want people to see them in Europe. You're going to be staying in Europe through your university. That must mean a lot for you, knowing the process to be seen.
Yeah, it does mean a lot. Thinking back on it, I'm very, very, very fortunate, and I feel like there's so much just timing in general, right? Just being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people. My mom always says, nothing is accidental. Everything happens for a purpose, right? So I am extremely lucky to be, in the position I am right now, and to have the exposure that I do have and the network that I have as well.
What are you seeing for his future, Mommy?
Well, you know what? I am seeing that I won't have to work so hard soon, because Johnny...
Me neither.
Yeah, right?
But yes.
But Johnny, I tell you this, he has a big heart. And one of the things, he actually asked me the other day, he said, would you want to manage my foundation? I'm like, oh yeah, why not? Right? So I see that coming. I believe it, Donald. I really believe that he is going to be successful. He will be signed, and I can decide when I want to go to work or not. And I also see that he's investing in his little sister also. She is interested in tracks. He started out in tracks early.
Right.
Now he is working with his little sister to make sure that she's successful in that passion. His cousin as well, his younger cousin, is also saying, I want to do tracks. And he's taking that on along with his dad to say, okay, let's make this happen now for the younger generation.
Finally, I hear that your stats are out of this world. This is keeping a track on how you do in the game. You're running at 31 kilometers per hour now?
31.2, yeah, roughly.
Yeah, he's pretty fast. And of course, they've picked up on you. They've seen all your stats, and they admire what you're doing. And we admire what you're doing, and we wish you all the best. The tuition fees, how much a year?
Okay, so the tuition only is £28,000. That does not include all the other incidentals and the plane fare and all of that. So we are working on that. We're doing the scholarship applications. We're filling out the loan applications because, yes, I am not rich yet. We know what Jonathan did promise, that when he gets signed, he will be paying it all off. And, so I'm believing with him.
Wow, yeah, that's a debt that you have to repay, I'm sure. But thank you so much for coming in, Kandi, Jonathan.
Thanks,
wish both of you and the entire family all the best. And keep in touch with the SportsMax Zone so we can continue the track on the family and for you in particular, Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. We take another commercial break. We'll be back with so much more after this. Please stay with us.